hey brother, or should I say, hey brother? That was me speaking whale, although I don't know what kind of whale. Possibly narwhal? Yeah, they even exist. Ben, last week, Ellen DeGeneres revealed the very first trailer for Finding Dory, coming to theaters in June 2016. Naturally, I've watched it like 100 times already, and now I am prepared to give you my way overthought analysis and review and predictions about the movie. That was new. As you can see, No Shave November continues to be an excellent endeavor. Or as my wife likes to say, you know, these are some pretty flimsy rules that let you get a haircut but not shave your face. Ah, she's a sweet girl. Also, how great was that new intro? I will give you details about that later. Okay, so the trailer is a glorious 1 minute and 42 seconds long, including logos and stuff. And the very first thing I noticed, before we even get a look at the reef, is the music, which unfortunately I can't play here because, you know, copyright stuff. But Thomas Newman, the guy who composed the music for Finding Nemo, is back for this film, and as soon as you hear that first note, without even trying, just the nostalgia pours in, and you are right back to 12 years ago. Next we get our first shot of the reef, where you can see Dory sleeping in what looks like a hollowed out piece of coral. And what I love about the shot is that even though there's been 12 years of technological advancement since the last movie, and I'll mention some of those as we go through this review, but it still looks and feels exactly like the first movie. And when you combine that with the music, there's just no question what film you're watching and what universe you're in. Then it gets really interesting as we hear our first line of dialogue that Dory utters while sleep talking. Don't cry, mommy. Don't cry. It is a short little line, but I think it says a lot about this movie, so get ready to overanalyze. First, we know this movie is about Dory finding her family, and now we have a line where she's mentioning her mother. She's dreaming in this scene, but I think it's safe to assume that she's having an actual memory. And in this memory, she uses the word mommy, which is significant because mommy is a word used to describe someone you recognize and remember as your mother. I know that sounds super obvious, but remember, she couldn't remember Nemo's name throughout the entire first film. So what that tells me is that within whatever memory she is reliving inside this dream, at that point in her life, she is not currently suffering from short-term memory loss because she can still recognize who her mother is. And what that makes me think is that she wasn't born with the short-term memory loss, that it's the result of some sort of traumatic event or injury or her brain's way of repressing a certain memory. And I think we're going to find out what that event was later in the film. That's just the first line of dialogue. Next, we get our first shot of Marlin and Nemo asleep in their anemone. This is an interesting reveal of the two main characters from the last movie because they keep them slightly out of focus, with the focus instead being on Dory's home next door. It's subtle, but it tells me that in this movie, the focus, and quite literally in this case, is on Dory. Then Nemo wakes up and just so happens to notice that Dory has left her house, even though we find out later this has apparently never happened before. She really makes no noise doing it, so my question is, why does Nemo even wake up? My guess is that Nemo is a little bit more of his father's son than he'd probably like to admit, and as he grows up is becoming a little bit more like his dad was in the last film, but instead of focusing his worry on himself or his dad, he's focusing it all on Dory. We also get to hear Nemo talk, and I have to say, I'm pretty impressed with the new voice actor they got, because Alexander Gold, the original voice actor of Nemo, has obviously grown up since then, and his voice has changed, but the new voice actor, Hayden Rollins, has definitely got like all that little lisp Nemo has and all of his mannerisms down. Marlin then drags Dory back to her house, and oh my God, how beautiful is that moonlight glistening off his body? You know, that's a really weird thing to say if you don't know I'm talking about a fish. This right here is a literally shining example of the updated technology, and whew, looks good. And speaking of awesome animation, in the next scene we see Dory pop up off the sand, and whoa! Did anyone else notice that cloud of sand? Probably not, but let me tell you, that is some next level animation right there. Animating dust like that is not easy. Speaking of dust, I love all of the little particles floating around in the water because, you know, that's what water actually looks like. I mean, it would have been really easy for them to say, let's remove the dust and just have a much clearer picture, but they left them in, and if you ask me, it looks better. Next, we have a scene of Dory reasoning out the word before, not unlike how we reasoned out the word mommy earlier, and she's doing so in front of Nemo's class. We get to see some familiar faces, including Mr. Ray, who I hope will be singing us another song in this film. Seaweed is cool, seaweed is fun, it makes its food food from the rays of the sun. The next scene is a great shot of Dory just like speeding through the reef so fast you can't make out anything behind her. And I like to think this is probably just how Dory sees the world. Everything moving a mile a minute. She can't focus on anything, except in this scene she actually is focused on something. Finding her family. It's an interesting juxtaposition, and I think it sort of suggests that this memory or this thought she's having is what is finally going to offer her clarity. And then we get some text on screen with some lovely particles floating in the water. An unforgettable adventure. She probably won't remember. I think this is mostly just a joke, but the word probably does leave it open-ended, like, yeah, she probably won't remember because she never has, but maybe she will. Then we cut back to a beautiful top-down shot of the reef and the characters, and here's where you can really start to appreciate like how much time and effort they put into getting the behavior of all of the different fish just right. You can see some other species sort of off to the side picking through the corals. If you've ever been like scuba diving or watched an aquarium long enough, you know this is the exact behavior of fish on a coral reef. And that brings us to the final shot of the trailer, which is Dory, Nemo, and Marlin swimming in front of some dark green background covered with barnacles, which kind of reminds me of the scene with the sharks in the first movie. So maybe this is another shipwreck, or it's just the tunnel they're swimming through, or some big rock. But what's worth noting is that the three of them are together and off the reef. So maybe finding Dory isn't like finding Nemo, where Dory is separated and needs finding, but Finding Dory is the story of Dory finding herself and discovering her past. Ben, that's pretty much all I've got for you on this trailer. I think the movie looks really good. I'm sad we didn't get to see any new characters yet, but I'm sure that's on the way. I would love to know you guys' thoughts, reactions, and predictions for the film down in the towel section below. Also, I need to give a big shout out to Thomas Codogan, who made our new intro. He did an amazing job, and I'm going to leave an email to him down below in case you want to email him about him making something for you. And that's it from me, but I will see you in another life, brother.
These socks are amazing!
Hey guys, thanks as always for watching this video. If you haven't yet, please leave us a like. It really does help us out. And if you want even more Super Carlin Brothers action, you can head over to the Super Carlin Gaming channel, where it is not too late to catch on the Heart Gold Pokemon Nuzlocke Challenge. We have 7 badges and are approaching the Elite Four fairly soon. If you like Pokemon or anything like that, I recommend you go check it out. It's a lot of fun. I make up fun backstories for the team and stuff. You know, it's hard to explain, but just go check it out.